The crisis between herdsmen and farmers has taken its toll on the country, and the federal government is exploring every opportunity and strategy to ensure that farmers and herders cohabit in the interest of national unity. My guest on this week's episode of the program explains the newly approved National Livestock Transformation Plan. Hello there, welcome to Dateline Abuja. I'm Gloria Umezuki. The Zuba Fruit Market provides an opportunity for farmers and traders from different parts of the country to carry out their businesses. The market, located in the nation's capital, also attracts some attention from some ECOWAS countries. However, this market is in poor state, begging for attention. We'll bring you a report on the state of that market. We also have a conversation on the federal government's 6-point plan to solve the farmers-herders crisis. But first, what are the stories that made headlines within the week in the nation's capital? The Acting Inspector General of Police is already reshaping the police in the manner he wants the force to operate by immediately dissolving the Federal Special Anti-Robbery Squad. At his first meeting with senior police officers, Mr. Mohammed Adamu also scrapped the Inspector General of Police Special Tactical Squad.
The operation of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, which is currently centralized at the Force Headquarters, is hereby decentralized. Consequently, with immediate effect, the commissioners of police in each of the 36 police commands and the Federal Capital Territory are to assume full command and control authority on all special anti-robbery squad in their commands.
For the 8th time, the reconciliation meeting between the federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities has failed to reopen the nation's universities. After 4 hours of meeting at the instance of the Minister of Labour and Productivity, Senator Chris Ngige, the striking lecturers insist that the federal government must show strong commitment to funding revitalization of universities before the strike, which has entered its 3rd month.
The most critical of all is revitalization. Revitalization is central to our work. Revitalization is central to our work as academics. And unless that area is addressed, our members will have issues with ongoing action. They gave us their reactions to our proposals or our response to their proposals. There were still gray areas that we are trying to sort out. So when we finish discussing those areas, you will know the full outcome.
The federal government is raising alarm that opposition political parties are planning to disrupt the 2019 general election by mobilizing armed bandits and Boko Haram terrorists to perpetrate massive acts of violence in several states in the northern part of the country. Addressing a news conference, the Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, explained that the plan is to create a constitutional crisis which will snowball into the establishment of an interim government. However, the major opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, is insisting that the plot is actually hatched by the ruling All Progressives Party.
Before you accuse the government of crying wolf, let me tell you, gentlemen, that we have credible intelligence that armed bandits and Boko Haram insurgents have been mobilized to engage in massive attacks and other acts of violence in several states across the country.
The National Council of State has approved 27,000 naira as the new national minimum wage. The meeting, presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari, had in attendance the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, former heads of state, including former President Olusegun Obasanjo and former President Goodluck Jonathan. The Senate President, Senator Bukola Saraki, was also in attendance. After the meeting, the Minister of Labour and Productivity, Dr. Chris Ngige, told State House correspondents that the federal government plans to augment the approved figure to 30,000 naira for federal workers.
So for levels 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as you go up, they're negotiable. But the minimum wage is for the lowest paid, the most vulnerable, the person on grade level 1, step 1. That is the import. Therefore, the labor unions understand this more than you and me. And so we don't envisage any problem with that. The federal government on its own, for their lowly paid worker, their most vulnerable worker, have agreed that it must be up to 30,000. But for every other person, private sector, state governments, local governments, the minimum wage for the entire country.
Meanwhile, the National Assembly is giving the new National Minimum Wage Bill accelerated passage as the bill passed the crucial second reading in the Senate and House of Representatives. The lawmakers suspended the rule to put the bill through the first and second reading simultaneously. Both houses set up ad hoc committees to hold public hearings on the bill before the final passage into law.
The other issue of concern to me, and I believe to many other people, is the exemption to organizations or establishments employing less than 25 persons. So if that gets true, and I hope it do not, that means that a whole number of our workers will be outside the minimum wage bracket.
The chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal has insisted on going ahead with the trial of Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onoge, as the tribunal says the restraining orders issued by the National Industrial Court, the Federal High Court, and an Abuja High Court is not binding on the tribunal. At the resumed trial in Abuja, the defendant, Justice Onoge, was absent, but the prosecutor advances reasons why the trial must go on despite the absence of Justice Onoge. The defense team led by Mr. Wole Olanipekun opposed the attempt to continue with the trial as he drew the attention of the tribunal to the various court orders restraining the tribunal from proceeding. The chairman of the tribunal agrees with the prosecution as he adjourns the trial to January 28. Meanwhile, the Court of Appeal has stayed proceedings at the Code of Conduct Tribunal in an appeal filed by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onoge, seeking to stay proceedings of his trial at the tribunal over allegation of non-declaration of asset. At the resumed hearing of the appeal, the defense counsel, Mr. Wole Olanipekun, told the court that the Code of Conduct Tribunal has vowed not to comply with orders from other courts, which it describes as a court of coordinate jurisdiction, except that of the Court of Appeal. He argued that if the application is not granted, it will affect the judiciary in totality and it will be a threat to the country and the constitution as a whole. But in a counter-affidavit, the counsel to the federal government, Mr. Oyekole Osho, says the decision on whether to stay proceedings at the tribunal is at the discretion of the tribunal. Justice Abdul Aboki, who presided over the appeal, however, ordered the Court of Conduct Tribunal to stay proceeding pending the determination of the appeal and adjourned to January 30. The federal government is seeking ways to increase revenue generation, and the idea of reviewing the value-added tax is being considered. Speaking at the launch of the Revenue Growth Initiative, the Minister of Finance, Hajiya Zainab Ahmed, explained that the move has become imperative owing to the fiscal challenges the government is confronted with in providing infrastructure for the people.
The first thematic area is on achieving sustainable revenue generation to optimally collect revenues so we always maintain fiscal buoyancy and fiscal resilience. The second thematic area is on identifying new revenue streams and enhancing the enforcement with regards to revenue collection on our existing revenue streams.
The remains of the former Chief of Defense Staff, Air Chief Marshal Alex Bade, has been laid to rest at the National Military Cemetery in Abuja. The former Air Chief was murdered by unknown gunmen along the Abuja-Kefi Road on Tuesday, December 18, 2018.
He provided leadership and direction to the entire armed forces of Nigeria, especially in the fight against insurgency and terrorism.
The Nigeria Meteorological Agency has predicted normal rainfall for 2019 in most parts of the country, with a warning that some parts of the country, especially in the coastal areas, may experience isolated flash flood. Speaking at the presentation of the 2019 seasonal rainfall prediction, the Minister of State for Aviation, Senator Hadi Sirika, stressed the need to mitigate the negative impact of climate change by taking advantage of the rainfall prediction.
The forecast indicates that the country is expected to experience normal or below normal to normal rainfall season. So what you're going to see is not a significant departure from the past. It's below normal to normal rainfall season.